I'm Hanna.
And I'm Hanna.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas,
where we are back to talk about another zombie movie during our zombie month, leading up to 28 years later.
Yeah, that's next week.
Oh, damn.
Very exciting. But we are not doing this alone. In the wise words of Bodies, 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 today's episode is a podcast about hanging out with your smartest and funniest friend. So we are joined by Rick from Rick's Horror Review Show.
Hello!
What's going on, Rick?
Hey! Hello! Has it really been 28 years? It has not. It certainly feels like it's been 28 years since we last spoke.
It might have been. And what was the last time we spoke when we covered that weird bad movie where we followed the slasher villain around?
Yeah, we all hated it.
Oh, the drudgery. Oh, God, I remember that.
A violent nature. In a violent nature.
And a boring nature.
A really boring movie with one immaculate scene right at the end, and then the movie was over.
What was the immaculate scene? Because
the whole
I don't
one about
remember
her
that.
just being nervous about him coming out of the woods. And I liked it.
Oh, the car scene. We did like the car scene.
One good scene.
And then it went really long.
We're back covering another horror movie as we do here. But we got Rick here. Rick has his own show. We've been on it, right?
No.
We haven't been on it.
Yeah.
Goodness.
No.
What is up with that?
I get my producers. Producers! How do you not have these two on the show?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone's getting fired over
Absolutely, someone's getting fired.
Well,
yeah, Rick, get your people to get it under control.
I'm going to tell
I didn't
my
even
team.
know. I just assumed we were there. I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
We are going to have. I am so angry about this. You know what? The heads will roll.
Well, Rick, tell the audience and the viewers about the show that we have not yet been on.
Yes, this show. My God, why do I even plug this show? You haven't been on this. Okay, let me just take a second to calm down. My show, which you unfortunately have not been on, not my fault, producers again, is Rick's Horror Review Show. Rick's Horror Review Show, where we review horror movies, horror TV shows, horror documentaries, anything that relates to horror, essentially. And now we've also been throwing in, sporadically, some stuff that has to do with paranormal. We call it in those episodes the Paranormal Corner. So if you're into horror stuff and Paranormal Corner stuff, come listen to our show. There's about 6 or 7 people who tend to listen sporadically. You want to be the 8th? Join us at Rick's Horror.
And where can we find you?
You can find me on the old Spotify, the YouTube, and no, not LinkedIn. You can. I'm on Instagram, and I used to have a TikTok, although I don't really frequent it much anymore. But I think primarily you'll find me on Spotify and YouTube and the Instagram, like the kids like to say.
Perfect. So everyone go check him out, and maybe in the future the producers will
invite us on.
Yeah, deem us worthy.
You know what? That producer staff is getting fired. New producers will coming in, and we'll arrange something. My people will talk to your people, and we'll get you on.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, sounds good. I look forward to it. Well, Rick, since we are covering another zombie film for Zombie Month, do you have a favorite zombie film?
I do have a favorite zombie film. It's actually, I don't know. You guys want to guess which one it is?
No.
Oh, there's so many. Like, I don't know. Are you a Train to Busan guy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just tell you what it is.
Okay.
It's actually 28 Days Later.
Oh,
okay.
Whoa.
I was about to guess
right.
that, so.
It's actually 28 Days Later. I just, you probably remember, or maybe you don't remember because it's been 28 years. I just kind of like stuff that's different. And I just felt that film just spoke to me. There was something about it that was just different enough. It's not a zombie movie. Obviously, the producers of the film never actually called it a zombie movie, but I don't know. It's just something about it because I feel like it also inspired, zombie stuff that came after. I think this movie was released in 2003, right? And so The Walking Dead feels like it was inspired by this. The modern renaissance of the zombie film, I felt, was inspired by 28 Days Later. And count me in. I've been a fan since then.
You were completely right, and we actually had an episode on it where we talked about this same thing. What was funny, though, is Hanna had never seen it.
Yeah.
So from her perspective, she was like, I've seen all this before. Because it was like the one that influenced so many and revitalized the genre. But it was like a kind of funny moment for her to be like, well, what do you mean? Like, this is like what every zombie movie's like. And I was like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah, I struggled a little bit with it where I was like, I've seen this done even by the same writer like later. And I feel like it was done maybe more successfully to me, but that's because they took inspiration from this. So like inherently, obviously 28 Days Later is a staple
And we still think it's a great movie, and everyone should go listen to our episode on it.
Had I seen it, I think when it came out, like, obviously, I think it would
blow your mind.
Blow my mind.
Yeah.
Agree. It's such a great movie. I don't know how I feel about the sequel. I don't want to share my feelings about it yet, but 28 Days Later, oh my goodness, what an absolute joy of a movie. I watched it recently. I rewatched both of them again in preparation for 28 Years Later. I still love it, actually. There's a lot of stuff that I go back sometimes that I'm like, you know what, that looks outdated. Or, just nitpicking and stuff. But that one, I don't know. It's just, it has a special place in my heart.
I get it.
It's fair. It's fair.
Hannah, do you have a favorite zombie movie? Is it Train to Busan?
It's Train to Busan.
I know my wife so well.
And yours is
hold up.
Oh.
No, it's okay. Tell us about why you like Train to Busan first, and then.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it's actually pretty tense. Like, I think there are definitely moments where you're like gripping the seat. Like, if you had armrest, you're like gripping them because you're just absolutely waiting for something crazy to happen. And I think I just really like the heart of it. I think it has such like a beautiful narrative between the father and his daughter and him learning to actually be a better parent and realize like how important having this relationship with his kid and protecting her is. So like then the end is devastating. So I think it just works for really well for me on all the emotional beats. And then the zombie part is cool and scary too.
I think it's a good pick. And for me, I'm not a big fast zombie guy, but this is probably my favorite fast zombie.
Fast zombies. Okay. Oh, genre of zombies, huh? Okay.
There is. Well, you know what movie started fast zombies?
No,
20
tell
days
me.
Later. 20 days later.
Absolutely. 20 days later started I talked about it in my episode. Like all of these zombies are like running marathons. Not a single fat person around. Every single one of these are like fit zombies.
And that is a great transition to what my favorite zombie movie is. And Hannah knew it. And
Night of the Living Dead.
The OG Night of the Living Dead, because I'm a slow zombie perfectionist here.
Yes, I bet. You know what? That's probably the kind of zombie I would be too.
That was a zombie. I'd be that one. I would be.
I've talked about it at length and we've covered it. It is a phenomenal movie. I mean, it really starts it all. Slow zombies work so much better for me, and the dread that movie creates is great, and somehow also leaves me smiling ear from ear. Like, it's just fantastic for so many reasons. I don't need to get into it other than it's the OG. The real fear of death is what's critical with zombies, so I like that slow creeping inevitability of a slow zombie. Makes you think about being alive and maybe not being alive. So, but shout out. I also
will just say thematically, I think that movie is just so
it's
interesting
rich
and fascinating.
Rich. I wanted to shout out though Wreck as maybe my second favorite zombie movie because people are going to forget that that's a zombie movie, and Wreck is great and everyone should go watch it. And it's a great found footage, probably my favorite found footage film as well. So cool. Well,
today we are not here to talk about any of those films though.
I could though.
We are here to talk about MadS.
Yeah, no.
We could, but we won't.
We could. We're here to talk about MadS, which is clearly inspired by many of these films. So.
Yeah.
MadS spelled how? M-A-D capital S?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Capital M, capital S.
Capital M, capital S.
It'll be in the title of this episode.
Yeah, sure.
So if you don't know how to read, we just told you out loud. Okay, so it's a 2024 film. It came out last year. Written and directed by David Moreau, starring Lucille Guillaume, Laurie Pavey, and Milton Ritchie. I probably butchered all those names, but
you're not supposed to draw attention to it.
You did not butcher. Everything is perfect.
Oh, thank you.
That was a pretty good French accent. That was great.
That was great. I loved it. That's not in my wheelhouse, though, unfortunately, so I can't do it back. Well, this film is a oneer. This film is supposed to look like one continuous shot, and it actually was filmed in one continuous 90-minute shot, which is insane.
That's some psycho behavior. Unnecessary, honestly. There were plenty of times they could have made cuts if they wanted and made it still look like a oneer, but good for them.
So what made you guys want to watch it? Was it the one shot?
We gave you then the option of a couple things, and you picked this one. So why did you pick MadS?
Oh, you're right. You got me. No, you may or may not remember. I like stuff that's different, right? I don't like the same recycled nonsense over and over and over. It's just why I hate slashers. I want something new. I want something different. I want, even a different take on certain things. This is the reason why we talked about the in A Boring Nature, right? It was a different take on something that we've seen before. So I like the idea of a single shot movie for a horror movie. I've seen one before, obviously. I think the last one I saw was Presence. That was a really good movie that I enjoyed, but I don't think I'd seen a zombie movie that way. And I was just interested in that, and also because it was a French movie, because I don't know and I don't remember having ever seen a French horror movie or any French films in general recently. So that's why.
Well, it was a fun pick. You should definitely watch Raw and Titan if you haven't, because those are very good French horror movies. I feel like you probably would have seen them, but if you haven't, definitely watch them.
Raw is like one of my favorite horror movies of all time, so...
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's why I chose this one.
Perfect.
Makes
well, we
sense.
do love the French.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's very fun. I think the French make kind of some fucked up horror movies too.
For sure.
I love that.
They value style a lot. So when it comes to style in horror, it's usually very gross.
Mm-hmm.
So. And
like only the French would reward Julia Ducournau with the Palme d'Or. Like, they would, Americans would never be like, yeah, this fucking disgusting body horror from this French lady is our best picture winner. But the French do, and we love them for that.
I know what's up.
So this movie, as we said, we've talked about it. It's a oneer. It's shot in quite literally one take. It was shot over the course of 5 days. So they started recording and they kept recording as the sun was going down. But the first 4 didn't work. They screwed something up, or like something about the choreography didn't work in all of them. But day 5, they got it. And they only had like about a week to film anyway. So if they didn't have it by day 7, I think they would have been screwed, if I was reading that correctly.
That's what's so silly about this to me. Like, you can make a oneer look like a oneer without it actually being one.
Especially because this movie gets so
There were
dark.
so many times where I was like, just cut there. It's okay. But no, they went for it. And, you know, I mean, it looks pretty damn cool.
I gotta say, though, even though I was interested in the one-shot thing, I was very... What's the word? I was worried and nervous about, like, for example, transitional shots, right? Like, we're going from one location to another because I'm like, oh, man, this is going to drag on. This is going to be in a violent nature. We're just following. And then suddenly something interesting happens, right? So I think they were very cognizant of the fact that they didn't want to make transition shots be ultra boring or, static. There's camera movement, there's action happening. Sometimes we're in front of the character. Sometimes we're in a vehicle with them. Sometimes we're behind them. Sometimes we're next to them. I think maybe even there's an overhead shot at some point. So it just felt like that variety really helped the transitional shots, which was the thing that worried me the most. I was really like, oh my God, what are they going to do with the transitional shots? Oh God, that was me.
So I agree with you. However, I do think this was basically right at the border of like, is this dragging in those moments? It was interesting enough, but there were times where I was just like, okay, this is a 90-minute movie. We got to get to the next thing. Like, and luckily they made it interesting enough, but I do think there was room for maybe a little bit more, or maybe just a little sped up. Sometimes it felt a little padded to me.
I didn't feel that way.
Okay, well
really.
Then maybe I'm wrong.
I think the scenes where they're going from like house to house, like I could when he's like on the bike, for example, like I can understand why.
I like that on the bike because there's like a rush to it,
I can understand why some of those things might feel dragged out to someone, but I didn't personally feel like they were, because like Rick, like I was still able to engage with the way it was shot and all of that jazz. So I don't know. I was here for it. I was in it.
Me too. Maybe, like I'm not like, and to agree with both of you a little bit, maybe the first couple of them didn't feel to me like they dragged on at all. And maybe, there's so many transitional shots here that maybe the ones later in the movie could have been a little shorter, right? I actually think about the one where he goes back to the house when the alarm is triggered. That one was a pretty good one, right? Because, I mean, he's just like hauling ass. And it didn't feel like it was a transitional shot to me.
I agree with that one.
That one feels like an action scene. I think the one that gets me was I think the motorcycle later, while it was like tense, I was like, okay, we've done about the same thing 3 times with her on the back of the motorcycle rubbing blood all over the girl's face. So.
I get that. I feel like that did go on a little bit. I guess I wish that they found somewhere they could film indoors that was a little closer for like the apartment building shot that they're going to Julie's apartment. But if they couldn't get that location and that's where they had to go, you know, they had to do what they had to do when they're doing the one take.
I know they practiced a lot. I just want to say one last thing about really all these shots, but man, to think about the technical accomplishment, right? I know they practiced, but still, you know, like these people acting and riding motorcycles, and it just, I don't know. I want to give them a lot of credit for doing that in acting and riding a motorcycle, and some person being crazy behind you while they're acting and you're acting and you're still in charge of riding a motorcycle, even though they're going like 5 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredibly impressive that they were able to pull it off, given that they had to get on bikes and get on motorcycle. And there's the scene with the car to like manage the safety elements of that and actually filming that. I think it's a pretty impressive technical feat, especially when it's like a small budget film.
Completely agree.
It's not like they had all of the resources in the world to get this right. And he actually said that part of why he went for unknowns, one, because like it makes sense with the concept to pick actors that aren't big time, but also because they wouldn't doubt the concept and if it was doable. He wanted people to be like, yeah, that's possible, not people in the industry who are like, that's going to be awful, that won't happen.
Love it.
Do you guys enjoy that, by the way? Follow-up question. Do you guys enjoy a movie where you have Brad Pitt stars in MadS this summer? Or was it like somebody that's completely unknown? What's your preference?
It depends on the movie.
Yeah,
I don't think I have a preference.
I don't think I have a preference. Yeah. There are certainly some actors that I think are distracting.
I agree with that. Brad Pitt, I do not find distracting. If Brad Pitt shows up in a movie, I know it's going to. You're right. If Brad Pitt's playing a character actor, if he's the leading man, he's usually going to be a problem. But if he is like 12 Monkeys Brad Pitt or Inglourious Basterds Brad Pitt, like then we're in for a treat.
I agree
because he's talented.
Yeah, I think some people... I'm trying to think of someone who's, like, incredibly distracting.
Tom Holland is really distracting to me.
I think Tom Cruise in newer movies are distracting.
No, I love Tom Cruise still. Sorry.
You hate Tom Cruise?
I love Tom Cruise.
We're done. No, I'm kidding. Oh, man.
No, I said sometimes he gets distracting for me in, like, his more modern stuff.
Interesting.
Not Mission Impossible, though.
Well, the Mission Impossible just, like, is Tom Cruise,
exactly.
So it doesn't matter. What's it called? Final Reckoning.
Final Reckoning coming soon. Rick, do you have an opinion? I like when they use no names. It really just depends on like what the director's going for and what the movie is.
You know, I think for horror, I gotta have unknowns. I think at this point, at this stage in my life, I just need to not know who these people are. I want to be completely lost in the illusion that this horror story is actually happening to somebody in the middle of the woods, and this could happen to me. If Brad Pitt shows up in the middle of the woods, a movie in the middle of the woods, it's not going to do it for me, because I'm like, well, Brad Pitt's in this.
You make a good point. You make a really good point about horror specifically probably benefiting from having no names.
I think most horror benefits from having no names, but especially something like this or like a found footage needs
to have no names. Well, this feels like a found footage, so.
Yeah, it does.
This feels like a documentary.
It is, yeah, totally. You're absolutely right. It does feel like one.
It's a documentary about a zombie movie from the perspective of the zombies.
Which is very fun.
That's our. Oh, that would have been my 15-second summary. Shit.
Yeah.
Give us some more background facts so we can get to those.
Okay. The other background fact I wanted to share for now is that he said he was inspired for the concept of the movie because he was having a dream where somebody put drugs in his drink and he had a bad trip. And he was wondering if it was the end of the world or not. So he says when he woke up in the morning, he was like, wait, did that really happen? And said it was really strange. And from there, he came to this movie.
That makes complete sense and does feel that way.
Yes.
Because you are kind of convinced, like, is this happening? Because they all are high the whole time.
And it does give you this question of, like, is it just a drug trip? Like, is it just bad drugs? Or are they actually having an outbreak and zombies? And I actually saw on Reddit, there are definitely people who buy into both sides of it.
Oh, and just think that none of it actually happened.
Yeah, that they're all just having like the worst trip ever.
Well, the drugs were new, so
I mean,
this is like what it was just bath salts, and everyone just started eating each other.
As you know, you're absolutely right. This is as unreliable a narrator as you can get, right? I mean, literally, the dude's like, I don't know what he's doing at the beginning of the movie, but he's drunk, he's high as hell. So yeah, it could definitely just be a terrible trip. Huh?
Yeah, he's high out of his mind and then maybe
Gets behind the
turning
wheel.
into a zombie. So, like, there is just no reliability here with anything.
Well, and the drug they're doing is something new. It's like not a normal drug. I think that's the name of the movie, right? That's what people think the drug is MadS.
The drug is MadS.
But, okay, any other background for us, or can we get to 15-second summaries?
We can get to our 15-second summaries.
Let me go first. I already said mine.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. No, I can't do it.
Matt, you just
This
did it.
is a documentary, but from the perspective of the zombies as the outbreak is happening.
Okay.
There we go. I did it.
Wow.
Are you going to let Rick go?
Okay, Rick, you can go if you are emotionally and physically ready.
Okay, emotionally and physically ready. Here I go.
Right.
This is a movie about kids who like to get high and then have crazy dreams.
Oh, damn.
Perhaps, yes. Okay.
All right, you're up, Hannah. I got you. You ready?
Okay.
Go.
Guy gets really high and gives said drugs that are also tainted with blood to his friends, and then they all get really high, but also zombies, ? And then maybe everyone gets killed, ? Who's to say?
That'll work. Mm-hmm. All right. So fun fact about this movie is it does not have a Wikipedia page that we could find. So I couldn't do my normal thing of rewriting the Wikipedia plot summary.
He actually did do work.
So I decided to write my...
Wikipedia. Did you look for Wikipedia or did you look French Wikipedia?
What was that? Oh, French Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, I don't know what French wiki would entail, but we didn't find it.
It did not exist. So I wrote a really nonsensical, not helping the illiteracy claims for me.
Yeah, it's so illiterate. It's very Charlie Kelly.
I wrote it this way on purpose. So this is my plot description. The main character though is named Romain, but I'm just referring to him as the guy or guy. Right. So I don't even know if he's the main character. Yes. So for full plot description, here we go. And Rick, I want you to let me know if you think this was good or not. But
all right.
So, guy buys drugs and does drug and drives his car. Random lady jumps in his car. She can't speak, and then we realize that she has no tongue. She begins stabbing herself and gets blood on drug and all over guy. Guy goes home with her corpse. Guy goes to party with drug where lady friends do drugs. Guy's house alarm goes off, so he goes back to turn it off. Corpse is not a corpse and is crawling around. Guy begins to become a zombie thing like the not corpse. Government agency with guns shows up to kill former corpse. Agency kills guy. Guy's lady friends take center stage, and we watch as the illness takes one of them over. She infects another lady friend. Lady friend tries to escape zombies and government and other lady friend. One government lady decides to help her, but gets bit, so she offs herself. Our lady sits alone and begins laughing, implying that she is infected. And then the movie ends. How do we feel about that?
I couldn't have said it better myself.
I appreciate it. I think I got everything in there.
I thought that was beautiful and succinct.
Yes.
I liked it.
Like, what if I wrote all of them like that and just didn't give any names?
I think that would be incredible.
Oh, maybe we can go to that.
I don't know if it would apply as well to all the other movies that have like more than one male character.
Yes, it was really easy to be like, there's a guy and lady friends and then
corpse.
And drug and not corpse
and not
or
corpse,
former corpse. I think
former corpse, not corpse now. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, did we find this movie scary?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're coming to me, no, I did not, and that was a disappointment I had with this.
There was one scene. There were two pieces of it that I found kind of scary. When he first encounters no longer corpse lady, and she crawls across the floor.
It's a good scene.
That movement that she's doing scared the fuck out of me. Like, I watched it. I didn't scream. Like, my eyes were glued. It wasn't a hide or anything, but I don't like that motion. And so I thought that was really well done and like did give me the creeps. And then later when she's on the elevator and it stops on like one of the floors and it's like partially open and the girl like tries to jump into the elevator, that I actually screamed out loud.
Whoa,
But
really?
Other than that, I was going to say I did not find it particularly scary, which I'm annoyed about because I feel like this movie could very easily be scary in a lot of ways. I feel like the government agency coming can be scary. I think that the zombies can be very scary. And there are moments where I think it builds up to being something scary and then it doesn't really stick the landing, which I thought was a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I think this movie is trying to be more psychologically scary, I guess. Because it's not that tense. And obviously there's like a single jump scare, which I screamed at. It's not using a lot of traditional horror tropes to scare you, but because of that, and because it's more relying on psychological horror, that I don't know if it's hitting me the best. It just it falls a little flat, like you said, in that regard.
But let's look at another movie that has a oneer and is also sort of French and is psychologically much scarier in Climax. Mm-hmm. I feel like Climax nails all of those elements that this one doesn't.
A lot of people compared this and Climax because I think it's the drugs. I think it's like the unreliable narrators on drugs and one shot.
In Climax, you are there not on drugs. That's how I read it. There's no unreliable narrators in Climax. And maybe that's like...
Maybe.
Yeah. And so like that's how I'm thinking about it. And I don't really like comparing it because I did enjoy this, but I think like Climax is like close to a perfect movie. So
that's a you take though. A lot of people don't feel that way.
Well, you know, they can all fight me. I don't know.
Yeah, you know,
I'll throw hands.
Nothing in this movie I found it particularly or even remotely scary. I was interested in, I was really drawn into it, but I don't know. You know, again, because how do I describe this? It feels like found footage. It does feel like found footage, but it doesn't feel like a scary found footage movie. I actually kind of felt like I was just taking my phone and recording a bunch of people. Like I was there with my phone as these people are just high as fuck, and I'm just there, and I'm just part of this, you know. And it's happening, and I'm around it. Like I'm on a bike next to the people with the bike, and they're just fucking drunk and crazy as fuck. Like I drank, but not as much as these people, you know. Like that's how I felt like I was watching them.
But that is what Climax feels like. But Climax is tense. I mean, maybe that's scary, but it is uncomfortable and gross. And I never really even felt that uncomfortable during this.
No.
And again, I like this. Those are just things I thought I was missing. Because I agree. I felt drawn in. I was along for the ride.
I guess, you know, I think about it now. How could they have possibly made this scary from a one-shot perspective? You know, like, I don't know, like... More jump scares, maybe. I think I vaguely remember one. Maybe the one where they're in the house. He runs back to the house, and does she pop out at him when she starts walking like, you know, like a exorcist style walk at him? Was that a jump scare?
I don't know if it. I don't think it was a full jump scare because I think she just was like on the floor, and then her movement started, which was like abrupt. But like she was there.
Okay, I agree with you. That was the moment. I think.
Yeah, that actually was really creepy. Yeah, I think they could have done a lot more of that. I also think, like, if they wanted to, they could have had a few more jump scares and it would have been successful. I also think if we, like, lingered a little more in the middle of the party while he is closer to being full zombie, whatever, I think that would have been scarier too, because... while he was at the party and like doing that twitch thing where like you could tell he was changing but not fully, I started to be like, oh fuck, it's gonna happen at the party and then they're gonna all start like eating each other. Like that is where I thought it would go, and so that was stressful. But then he leaves, so we lose that. And I get why they did that because of where the story goes is completely different than I thought it was going to. But I also think if we got more transformation at the party, it would have helped with the tension bit.
I'm on your side completely. And I do think, like, that's where this is lacking.
Yeah. Can I say one last thing that maybe could have helped? I feel like
of course.
The zombification wasn't total and complete, right? Like they sort of turned into zombies, maybe. And it wasn't this thing where they lose their humanity completely, I would say. And because of that, it's still like, well, it's still sort of a person in there. You can still sort of rationalize with them, right? And I think that helps a lot in the scare factor. When this is a machine. You can't talk to it. It can't reason. You can't talk to a zombie. It doesn't reason. You can't reason with it. I feel like it didn't go zombie enough. Maybe needed more zombie.
You make a very good point, and I think a critical piece of zombie movies is they need to have rules for the zombies. Mm-hmm. And when we don't know the rules, it can be a little confusing, because for us, we're like, okay, do bites spread it? Oh no, it's ingesting the blood that spread it. But did they spread it by making out at the party? Oh, we're not really sure if that's what did it.
Or if it was the drugs that did it.
Or is it the drugs? Do they completely lose their humanity? Well, they're kind of switching back and forth. Are the zombies really bad? I had so many questions. And with a zombie movie, you really do need to have rules. It's all right, spread by biting or spread by you dying, and they just want to eat you. I didn't know because originally they were just biting each other and moving on. So it's they just want to spread. But then later we see a body getting eaten, and I'm like, well, the zombie's trying to eat. Too many questions that I don't want to be nitpicky with, but we can't help but think about that way.
Absolutely. Where are the rules? 100%.
What are the rules?
Not thinking at all.
Yeah, that's a great checklist for a zombie movie. Is you need to know the rules.
Yeah,
they need to be, and the rules need to be consistent.
And I bitched about that in The Sadness too, among many other things, because I think it was really unclear in The Sadness what exactly spread that either. So it's hard to be particularly scared when you don't know if that thing that they encountered could have given it to them or not.
See, Night of the Living Dead had it right. It's not spread via bites. It's just spread if you die. If you die, you become a zombie. It's that easy. Bites just are bad infections that kill you.
I don't mind the bite trope either. I just need to know which one we're doing.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the difference. I don't think everybody who loves horror likes rules or wants to know. And it sounds like you definitely guys, you guys definitely want a set of rules. I want them established, and I don't want them broken. Damn it! All right, I will drink that Kool-Aid, but you got to give me the rules.
It really depends on the movie, but in this. A lot of the times, yes, but I think really for outbreak style movies, you have to have them.
Yeah, I think it's hard to be scared if you don't know what will do the thing.
Yeah.
It's really hard to...
You don't know what's going to cause what.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my issue with this. In a lot of things, I am totally fine with something completely ambiguous and fucking weird or surrealist.
I got no problem
that is not
with that.
something that bothers me traditionally. I think it's just with this style of film. If you're not giving me a reason to be scared, I won't be scared. That's really what it feels like.
Okay, we've complained a lot about this movie, but I feel like all of us also liked this movie.
Yeah.
So we gotta say some things we liked.
Of course.
So if you come to me, I do think that this movie looks good for being a oneer and for being shot at night. I thought they did a great job lighting the night shots and making things disappear when they wanted it to disappear. I also found that the presence of this government authority coming in was the more frightening part, and I thought that was portrayed well. I liked that all of a sudden there were just a whole military group moving around, just taking just anybody out, anybody that might have come in contact, and that was pretty damn fun. I kind of wish we got more of that, to be honest.
I was really impressed with the performances in this one. I thought specifically Anais. That's the
Anna, the second person we follow.
Yes. The female, the girlie who gets zombified first. I think she did such a great job. And it was really her body movements were what was so impressive to me. She knocked it out of the park, and I think she definitely outacted our other two primary leads. Not that they were bad or anything. She just stood out so well.
She was giving it her all.
And I think they did a really good job too, just the establishing what at least part of the transformation looks like with those jerky motions and the sound design of the zombies. I thought that was great, and it was icky and spooky.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm with you on all that too.
100%. I wanted less of Mr. Romain Lettuce and more of her. I think when they transitioned away from her to the third character, I kind of lost a little bit of interest because to me, she was really entertaining. She was funny. Like you said, the movements, I laugh at the scary stuff, right? But her movements were, to me, I don't laugh at it because it's bad. I laugh at it because I'm like, huh, look at that. That's entertaining. I loved her. And we talked about this already. I don't remember if we talked about it extensively or not, but man, the execution of this project, I loved it. I loved the ambition. I loved it. Knowing that all of this was one shot, and yes, even if it's practiced, I want to go back and give credit to that again, because I really, really enjoyed the fact that this is a one-shot movie. All of these people, even when they're going off camera and somebody else is coming in, they're going off camera. I keep thinking, when are they taking a break? Are they drinking some water? What are they doing right now? Are they reading their lines and that kind of stuff? I just was so entertained by the idea that this was a one-shot movie, and the fact that it was so well executed. We talked about them riding bikes. We talked about them being safe. We talked about them reacting to other actors' actions. The entire thing was just really well done.
I completely agree with that. I think the execution of the concept was well done and interesting, and like the choreography has to be so tight when you're making a one-shot project. It takes so much time in rehearsal to get it right between the actors and the crew and everything. So I do find that incredibly, incredibly impressive. Did I feel like they could have snuck in stopping points? Yeah, but the fact that they didn't just makes it all the more impressive.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're coming back to me, I said we should be nice, but I have a maybe mean question about it.
Wait, before you say that, I just want to say I do think the one-shot concept for this film specifically, I think it is cool that it adds like this sort of like realism to it, that it's happening in real time.
You should have let me ask my question. I could have set you up.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't want you to say something that was going to be like
it was about
slightly
that.
mean. And
my question, because I don't know if I fully agree with Hanna, was while I love a one-shot movie or a one-shot in TV or wherever, I think it really should only be used if it's going to be in service of the story and the themes. I think that the form of the movie needs to equal its function. And I was going to ask, do you feel that doing this one shot did that? Did it actually add to everything else this movie was trying to do, or was it just a gimmick? Examples being, I think like it's added very well in a movie like 1917 or Birdman. I think there are other times that people just try to do them because they want to see if they can. So, Rick, I'll send that to you first.
I think it's gimmick too, right? I mean, maybe they thought, well, when was the last time I saw a single shot horror movie? Or in French, when was the last time we saw a single shot horror movie? Maybe they thought about that, maybe they started with the story that way, and it was a gimmicky thing, but then they just turned it into something that really, really worked. And it was bigger than the one-shot idea. And then it becomes like, well, look how well choreographed this was. And like, this story is decent. And we got some really good actors, especially that second character. So maybe it did start off as a gimmicky thing.
Do you think the one-shot elevates the movie, though? Like, do you think that it's like critical? Okay.
I think it does. I think it does. For me, it does. Not the entire movie. We talked about transitional shots a lot. I want to focus on those again because I really focused on those during the movie. I really wanted to see what they were going to do because those are really, I think, the places where you would lose one of these movies, these transitional shots. And for the most part, they worked for me. The most interesting scene to me was when the two girls were on the bike. That was the funnest part of the movie, personally.
Huh, that's interesting because that was
like
my favorite part, but also that just goes to show different strokes for different folks.
I want to come to you on, do you feel that it elevated the movie? Do you think it was like critical?
I think it did. I think that this movie would have lost a little bit of its magic for me if it weren't the one shot. I also, though, am a slut for a one shot. Like, I am fully invested in the gimmick if I think it's done well enough.
But usually the ones you've seen it in, it very much is critical to what the story is trying to do.
Yeah, but like I think because this is it's showing the transformation
and the outbreak.
This really bad drug trip for these people in real time. I think that is very interesting. I don't think we get a lot of zombie movies that focuses on the start of the outbreak. And so I think doing it at the start of the outbreak, focusing on the perspective of those people who are, quote unquote, infected in real time is interesting to me.
Okay.
So
no, that's why I'm asking.
I liked it.
Yeah, my argument was like I found it a little gimmicky in this one and not like necessary, but I can see the reading the form equaling the function
But do you
there when you say it.
with the plot that we got, do you think the movie would have been more interesting had they not done that? I don't think the plot would work if they didn't do the one shot.
Yeah, it's tough. I think I've just seen it done better.
Well, no shit. This is a low budget.
Well, hold up. Whoa. No. Wait, I'm going to call out another movie that is a oneer that I really like that everyone should watch, and it's called The Vast of Night. Also low budget that not a lot of people have heard of, and it's kind of an alien movie.
Everyone has heard of that.
Has everyone seen The Vast of Night? Rick, you seen The Vast of Night?
I've not. No, I really like that title though.
The Vast of Night. It's a one-shot movie where there's some not paranormal, extraterrestrial things happening.
Oh, sign me up. All right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's mostly just following people being like, "Oh, we're having weird problems with the radio. Let's go check here." And then they go to the next place, and I like that one.
Wow, that sounds so fun. Oh my God. Yes. Okay, you guys are gonna come on the show and talk about that.
We'll talk about The Vast of Night. But I just want to say, I remember thinking that one did it better. And again, I feel bad because I still like this movie. There are just like little things where I'm like, maybe I had my expectations a little too high.
Maybe.
But, okay, do we want to debate what we actually think happens in this movie?
That's what I was just about to say. I really want to talk about if we think it is a zombie disease or if they're just on drug. I mean, clearly they're on drugs, but like, do we think it's solely drugs or do we think there's actually an outbreak?
You coming to me first?
I'm coming to Rick first.
All right, go to Rick first. Rick, what are you thinking?
I think that this is high off his mind. I really do. I just think it was too much of a setup at the beginning to not be super high off his mind. The minute that girl jumps into his car, that's like his bad trip begins, and it just never ends. And I wanted it to be this thing that's actually happening, but I don't know. It just, to me, it's too much drugs, too much drugs too fast. I think it was, and it's a trip. It's a trip, man. They're high.
And all three characters that we follow all have done the drugs, so it's very easy to argue that all of them are just having the same bad trip.
Yep.
And what a trip, though. The idea of like scary shadow government agency coming in and just killing everybody and you're just running through restaurants. Like, it is a really funny read to think about, like Anna running into the restaurant and jumping out the window and just imagining everyone in the restaurant getting slaughtered by the shadow organization.
Well, if you think about from that scene too, like they totally would have come and checked the bathroom.
Yeah, you make a good point. Like, she just jumped out, and there were many close calls where they like got away. Where you're like, would they really have gotten away? So like, I think this is a fine rating to be like, no, none of it happened.
I think
they were just
totally
running around, maybe running around naked and afraid. Like,
oh my God! If they made a sequel, it would have to be a comedy where we relive the story from the perspective of people who are not drunk or high.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's like
people eating their food. It's like, what the fuck?
Like the Halloween episode of It's Always Sunny, like seeing all the different perspectives, and then it's like, oh no, this is what actually happened. Yeah, I love that. Actually, can somebody make that movie?
Come on, David.
Totally wants that.
During it and right after, I was like, no, bruh, there was totally an infection. But with like a day later of simmering, I don't personally care if it's an infection or just drug. I think it's interesting to me
for it to be
either way. And I think the fact that it's open to interpretation is fun and also deliberate. And I think, it's very deliberate. One of the interview quotes I got was from the director: I started to think about this idea and this disease, and that you don't know if it's because of the drugs or not.
There you go.
And I think there's this interesting question of like, yeah, is it just drugs and the bad trip, like we said? But also like, how did they get it? Was the blood going in their mouths? Or was it the drug having been exposed to the blood of the lady in the car?
And we didn't see a single other person turn into a zombie, did we? Just the one lady that shot herself after getting bit.
It feels implied in the apartment building.
But we never see it.
But we never see it.
maybe that drug is so potent that it travels through saliva. Again, without rules being established, I don't know. I'm making crazy shit up. If it's zombie infection can spread that way, why not drug?
Well, but maybe that's why the rules weren't established, is because it was just the three of them were high. They all did the drug. Yeah. They were all high as shit. And now that's why we don't need any rules, because the rules where you did the drug, you get high and scary things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So now if we read it that way, there are rules that work for me.
Good.
Because they don't need to be very defined rules.
Nope.
Because it's just drug induced.
Before you said all this, Rick, I was like, no, it's an outbreak. But then you said it. I'm going to say something crazy here, Hannah. Don't mind me. But I started thinking, I was like, well, I work in Center City, Philadelphia. I see someone doing the same shit Anna's doing every day on the way to the train.
Matt.
It's just true. Am I wrong?
Bro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Philadelphia, right?
We live in, again, very sad. There's an opioid epidemic in our country. I will jump on that. But I see people doing crazy shit every day. In the train station, in the wherever. Hey, I'm getting dirty look from Hannah here, Rick.
Yeah, having
this.
No.
I know.
My work experience. Yeah, my work experience is in drug and alcohol, and so if anyone's familiar with Kensington, which is the heroin capital of the world, is in Philadelphia. I've spent a lot of time there, so I try not to mock those people or stigmatize. I'm
not trying to mock, but I'm saying there is drugs in this movie.
You are not trying to do that. However,
I'm trying to make it funny.
I just have to.
Well, that's why I said
put that on the table.
Oh, I know. But my point is, they're doing drugs in this. I definitely see plenty of people abusing drugs, and it's very sad. However, when people abuse drugs, there are movements
that are similar.
That whole thing that she was doing, I guarantee I've seen that before, and it's making me laugh. I'm sorry, because it's funny if that's how we're gonna read this movie, as oh my god, they are just high.
Yeah.
So, don't be cranky with me. Be mad at the director for putting it in my head.
Yeah, why he do that?
Hey, maybe it's just part of the research. Maybe they try to make this as realistic as they possibly could, and someone having a drug trip, a bad one.
Yeah,
I'm sure if given that's what they were going for, they probably did look at.
Well, that's why I started thinking about the weird twitch movement and the noises she was making.
Because you're privy to the noises these folks are making.
I wouldn't say that, but people yell random things and aren't all there, and that's kind of what I was thinking.
Also, the touching, smearing blood all over her, you could just be oh, she's trying to smear blood all over her to turn her, but also certain substances make you really touchy and really like feeling contact. Molly is one of those.
Yeah.
So,
and this thing's clearly a mix of a bunch of stuff. So.
Yeah. So, in that regard, I see that even. Yeah, there are definitely some interesting ways of reading this one.
I got you giggling finally. Anyway, so that basically made me be oh shit, that maybe is the correct reading, and the whole rules thing. Maybe that's how I should look at this from now on.
And people who interpret the title of this movie, MadS, being the drug.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense if it's all drug induced.
So would we just assume our character at the end, Julia, just imagined that woman saved her and then shot herself, and then she just sat there laughing as she eventually comes to and comes down from her trip?
Yeah.
I guess.
That's why she's just sitting there giggling. Damn, my plot description doesn't even make any sense now.
It still makes sense. Guy do drug.
He just got picked up by the police, actually, because he was high as shit on the street, not by the government agency. Whoa.
Romain needed help in that moment.
Romain was... Whew.
Romain needed a safe place to come down from that.
Yeah. Well,
not that I necessarily think the police are a safe
I feel like
space,
we've cracked the code on what actually happened in this movie now.
Perhaps.
We might all be on the same page.
Did we have any favorite scenes?
Probably her crawling through the hallway. I love that because that was the most scared I felt. I love that. The light coming on. I was like, ooh, shit's about to hit the fan. And then I feel like it kind of pulled back after that. So that, and then maybe when he gets disappeared and then it immediately transitions to Anna, I thought that was fun. And I was like, oh, she's our main character now.
Yeah, so. I thought the beginning of her arc up until the motorcycle, I would say was my favorite parts. Just watching her movements watching like where she went and how she handled herself, and then kind of these cuts between her drug-induced psychosis compared to then when she's like more with it and is like, I'm sorry, it's not me. Yeah. And then just because her acting was so impressive, her body movements and all of that, I just really enjoyed that like stretch of just her, really. What about you, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's the bike scene. I think it's like, I compare, like, I think about like when you're in the old days, when you're like the designated driver and you're driving a group of friends home and they're all acting stupid and crazy and you're like the one sober person and they all think it's hilarious and shit. And you're like, hey, calm the fuck down over there. I'm trying to drive over here. That's what I felt like that scene was. So it was really relatable to me.
Dear God, have I been that person so many times?
Not
necessarily the driving person, but walking my drunk friends home from the bar.
Holy shit. Or the person sitting in the front of the Uber.
You have them all in leash so they don't all like go in different directions. That's insane.
Literally thought about it because I'll literally be like, David, hold Jason's hand. Like, I don't trust what's about to happen, but I need to carry this one, so you guys hold hands and walk right in front of me, please.
Yep. Oh, that's hilarious! Yeah, see, that's how I felt. That's why I thought that was, because the whole drunk, just them being high or drunk as hell. I thought that's my friends. This is my life.
That's a really funny comparison that makes me enjoy that scene like infinitely more.
Yeah, someone like covering your eyes while you're driving.
Yeah,
that's what I can imagine. Just be like, stop touching me! I'm trying to get your drunk ass home.
It's also giving like Jim driving concussion Dwight to the hospital.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Good reference.
So I know we talked about how we interpret the movie. What do we think this movie's purpose was? Or like, does it have themes or meaning that?
I'm going to be real with you. I got nothing. So, Rick, you got anything?
The moral of the story here is kids don't do drugs. And then it ends with a public service announcement about not doing drugs. I don't know. I felt like it could have been like a really long, like French campaign against the use of illicit drugs for the teenagers.
It's French Dare.
The French love drugs, though. Every movie I watch about French, they're doing drugs and partying.
This is true.
There you go. Maybe they want to encourage their friends to be a little more fun. All right, this is for you, Francois.
You've been there. Everyone talks about how amazing the nightlife is in Paris. Like, I think the French go harder than Americans do.
I actually, thinking about my favorite French horror films, and every single one of them
is insane.
Someone is like, fucked out of their mind.
Yeah, multiple people though. One here, everyone's just like, oh, let's go to the bathroom, do this new drug. Like, if TV is to be believed, I think the French are clearly the most degenerate people on the planet, according to.
Well, then it's the opposite. Then it's like, hey, you non-French people, come to France, enjoy life.
Yeah, it really might be.
Look at how fun our drug trips are.
I just do think of like Raw and Climax.
Yeah, exactly.
And this now, and it's just, and even Titan. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, the French just like to party. Good for them.
Yes,
they're good at partying.
Sponsored by the French Tourist Association or something of France.
It might be Europe in general, though, because then you just start thinking about, like, they party hard over there.
And, like,
their nightlife's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
That's Spain, right. But, whatever.
Still, yeah.
For French and European nightlife.
Yes. Yeah, this is either an ad for nightlife, an ad for Dare.
Drugs are really expensive?
Yes, drugs are really expensive. Or it's just something fun the director wanted to do.
That's what I'm saying. He did a pretty damn good job.
If I do think it's a fun concept, a fun idea. I like that it was just inspired by like a drug-related nightmare, and he just went for it. I think it's quite a good time, all things considered. So I don't necessarily care in this case whether there's an actual intention behind what the story is supposed to mean or not. Sometimes I care. Sometimes it pisses me off when there's no, like, thought into the movie's meaning or themes. And then something like this, I had enough fun that it doesn't really matter to me.
I feel you. Well, if that's all we got, do we want to rate this thing and wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we're good to rate. Are you good to rate, Rick?
I'm good.
Okay. We'll rate out of 10, and then we'll
do our other one.
Rate on our new rating scale. Out of 10, I kind of want to give it a 7. I don't know if that's too high. I'll go 7, maybe 6.75.
Whoa.
What?
No, just the 0.75 is funny.
Fuck
I
off.
just laugh every time. All right, well,
Matt,
if
that's
that's
a
where you're at,
quarter.
I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10. I liked it. I didn't love it.
I'm gonna give
Rick,
this
what are we
movie.
thinking?
I'm gonna give this movie an 8 out of 10.
Dang.
I knew it.
What?
8
Okay.
out of 10 because again, like I just want to say this again, but like the execution of this, you know, this is a 90 minutes. Like think about doing anything at work with a group of people for 90 minutes and see if they can do it this well. Like they shot it.
No, and I completely agree. I don't know. I was drawn in, but I just didn't love. You know?
I would also like to share with the class that Matt wasn't in his bestest mood while watching this film. And so he would have the bias.
I've been nonstop moving. I fit this in between work and practice, and
Matt has not had a second to breathe.
I feel like I have not.
Week.
Well, I mean, watching a movie should be breathing, but unfortunately, in this situation, I was like, well, I have to get this in.
You're reading subtitles
true.
Taking notes
and
for a
scarfing
podcast.
my dinner down, and you're
it
right.
was work for you. All right, let's watch it.
It was a little bit of work for me. Yeah. So like when it
pretty
did
much.
drag a little bit, I was just like, I just need something.
So pissy.
Yeah.
I'm actually proud of you for giving it a 6.5 because I really thought you
I
would be
didn't
like, this is average.
No. I didn't dislike it, but yeah, I thought it was just fine. But okay, well now we'll see what I give it on our new scale.
So our friend encouraged us to try this new scale. We've been doing it for a little bit. Still not sure if we want to go for it. We're still waiting for feedback.
All right, well, I'll explain. It's -5 to +5. And what I think it does is basically 0 is complete indifference. And then like anything minus is that you feel negatively. Anything positive is you feel plus. It should be slightly different from like a 0 to 10 because I don't think people typically rate a 5 as complete indifference. Like 5 almost sounds bad, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think, Rick? You have to think about it a little bit?
Well, I'm trying to not just shift numbers down into negatives. Well, if it was an 8, it's a 3 now.
I don't think I've even lined up once yet doing this scale. So
I have almost consistently.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, I had to put this closer to the I like column here. I liked it. It's a 3. To me, it's a 3.
Okay.
I was gonna say on this scale for some reason I also feel like a 3.
So funnily enough for me on this scale, I think this works for me because I'm really thinking about it as just pure enjoyment versus like what do I actually think it is.
Okay.
I'm giving it a +1. And I don't feel bad about that. I'm like, yeah, it's +1. It's in my positive side, you know.
That feels mean.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point of this scale. Don't taint my new scale. It's a +1 for me. I'm closer to indifferent on this movie, but like I liked it, you know.
Okay.
But I still would think it's like a 6.5. So
And for your future ratings for your indifference, can you just give it like a meh?
yeah, it's fine. Meh.
Just a meh.
I like the noise you're making along with it.
It's hard for me to feel indifferent about a film, but sometimes you get there. Sometimes it's like I think it's technically really good, but like I didn't love it. I didn't enjoy it that much. I enjoyed it a little. So
I feel like that's where
That's another
essentially
+1.
you're sitting here.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, with all that being said, we're going to wrap it up here. So, Rick, tell the people where to find you once again.
You can find me if for some crazy reason you want to find me and you're looking for me, or maybe you just want to stumble upon me somewhere. Rick's Horror, Spotify. You can find Rick's Horror on YouTube, and I'm also on the Instagram as well at Rick's Horror. Just one word, no hyphens, no dashes, no weird numbers, none of that stuff.
Perfect. And so everyone go please check him out. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, download, everything.
Yes, all that stuff.
And do it for us too, as I always say. Well, okay, Rick, thank you again so much for joining. This was fun. And let us know when that manager is fired so that we can be welcome on the show. I
will give you a call. As soon, in fact, I'll call you while I'm firing him just so you can have, a little bit of enjoyment. Enjoy the firing.
I would love that.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
Well, all right. Again, thank you. I have been Matt Hanna.
I'm Hannah.
That has been Rick from Rick's Horror. And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannas. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, where we post episodes and shorts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannas on TikTok and Instagram, as well as at Horror Hour on Blue Sky for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!